The warship Eclipse cut through the void of space, its sleek, obsidian hull reflecting the faint light of distant stars. On board, the crew of 500 worked tirelessly to maintain the ship systems, preparing for the inevitable clash with the alien armada known as the Zyn'thari. Among them was Lieutenant Commander Elias Voss, a human engineer with a reputation for solving problems no one else could. He was a man of logic, precision, and quiet determination, but nothing could have prepared him for his new assignment. The Eclipse had recently captured a Zyn'thari operative during a skirmish near the Orion Rift. She was unlike any alien Elias had ever seen. Her skin shimmered with an iridescent hue, her eyes glowed like twin moons, and her presence exuded an otherworldly calm. Her name was Lyra, and she was to be kept under close observation, not in the brig, but in Elias's quarters. The reasoning was simple. Elias's room was the most secure location on the ship, equipped with advanced surveillance and containment systems. But sharing his space with a mysterious alien woman was far from ideal. The first meeting was tense. Elias stood at the door of his quarters, arms crossed, as Lyra was escorted in by 2 armed guards. She moved gracefully, her long, flowing robes trailing behind her. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes locked onto Elias's with an intensity that made him uneasy. "This is your new roommate," one of the guards said, smirking. "Try not to kill each other." The door slid shut, leaving Elias and Lyra alone. The room was small, with a single bunk, a desk cluttered with engineering tools, and a viewport that offered a breathtaking view of the stars. Elias cleared his throat. "I don't know what you're planning," he said, his voice firm. "But if you try anything, I won't hesitate to stop you." Lyra tilted her head, studying him. "You fear me," she said, her voice melodic yet alien. "But you need not. I am not your enemy." Elias frowned. "You're Zyn'thari. Your people are at war with mine." "I am not my people," she replied simply. "Just as you are not yours." The conversation ended there, but the tension lingered. Elias kept his distance, working late into the night to avoid spending too much time in the room. Lyra, for her part, seemed content to sit by the viewport, gazing out at the stars as if lost in thought. Days turned into weeks, and the uneasy coexistence began to shift. One night, Elias returned to find Lyra tinkering with a broken datapad he had left on his desk. He froze, ready to intervene, but then he noticed something remarkable. She had repaired it. The screen flickered to life, displaying a schematic of the ship's propulsion system. "How did you do that?" he asked, unable to hide his surprise. Lyra looked up, her glowing eyes meeting his. "Your technology is primitive but fascinating. I enjoy understanding how things work." Elias hesitated, then sat down across from her. "You're an engineer." "In a sense," she replied. "My people value knowledge above all else. I was trained to analyze and adapt." From that moment, a fragile rapport began to form. Elias found himself drawn to Lyra's intellect and curiosity. They started exchanging ideas, discussing the intricacies of the Eclipse's systems. Lyra offered insights that Elias had never considered, and he, in turn, taught her about human engineering principles. Slowly, the walls between them began to crumble. One evening, as the ship entered a particularly turbulent region of space, the lights flickered, and the engines groaned under the strain. Elias was called to the engineering bay to assist with repairs. To his surprise, Lyra followed. "You don't have to come," he said. "I wish to help," she replied. "This ship is my home now too." In the engineering bay, they worked side by side, their hands moving in perfect sync as they recalibrated the engines. The crew watched in awe as the two of them solved problems that had stumped even the most experienced engineers. When the crisis was averted, Elias turned to Lyra, a smile tugging at the corners of his lips. "You're not so bad for an alien," he said. Lyra's eyes sparkled with amusement. "And you are not so bad for a human." As the days passed, their bond deepened. They shared stories of their respective worlds, their hopes and their fears. Elias learned that Lyra had been exiled from the Zyn'thari for questioning their warlike ways. She had been searching for a way to bridge the gap between their species when she was captured. Elias, in turn, confided in her about his own struggles, the weight of responsibility, the loneliness of life on a warship. One night, as they sat by the viewport, Lyra placed a hand on Elias's arm. Her touch was warm, almost electric. "You are not alone anymore," she said softly. Elias felt a lump form in his throat. "Neither are you." But their newfound peace was short-lived. The Eclipse was ambushed by a Zyn'thari fleet, and the ship sustained heavy damage. In the chaos, Elias and Lyra were separated. As the crew scrambled to defend the ship, Elias realized that Lyra was in danger, not from the enemy, but from his own people. The captain had ordered her to be taken to the brig, fearing she would sabotage the ship during the battle. Elias fought his way through the chaos, his heart pounding. He found Lyra surrounded by armed guards, her hands bound. She looked at him, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and resignation. "Elias," she said, "do not let them take me." Without hesitation, Elias stepped forward, placing himself between Lyra and the guards. "She's not the enemy," he said firmly. "She's one of us." The guards hesitated, but the captain's voice crackled over the comms. "Stand down, Voss. That's an order." Elias clenched his fists. "I won't." In that moment, Lyra's bindings fell away, and she rose to her feet. Her iridescent skin glowed brighter, and her eyes blazed with determination. "I will not be a prisoner again," she said. With a wave of her hand, the guards were knocked back by an unseen force. Elias stared at her, stunned. "What are you?" Lyra turned to him, her expression softening. "I am your friend, and I will protect you, as you have protected me." Together, they fought their way to the bridge, where the captain was directing the battle. Lyra used her abilities to disable the Zyn'thari ships, giving the Eclipse a chance to escape. But the effort took its toll, and she collapsed, her strength spent. In the aftermath, the crew was divided. Some saw Lyra as a hero, while others feared her power. The captain, however, had a change of heart. "She saved us," he admitted. "That's more than I can say for some of our own." Elias stayed by Lyra's side as she recovered. When she finally opened her eyes, she smiled at him. "You were right," she said. "We are not so different after all." Elias took her hand. "No, we're not." The Eclipse continued its journey, but things were different now. Lyra was no longer a prisoner, but a valued member of the crew. She and Elias worked together to improve the ship's systems, their partnership stronger than ever. And as they gazed out at the stars, they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. For in the vast expanse of the universe, they had found something rare and precious, a connection that transcended species, war, and the void itself.